Hello and welcome to our TechCom Tools panel. I'm Julia Southwick, the Chapter President, Communications Chair, and Newsletter Editor. Our agenda is as follows. We just finished our networking. We're going to do announcements real quick, and then we'll get into our panel presentations, starting with authoring tools, then image and video capturing software and graphic design. We'll end with some Q&A. And once again, welcome. We're glad to have you here. Also got a notification off to the side. Sorry about that. That's not important right now. So a little about the Florida chapter. We used to be the Orlando chapter, but we merged with some other chapters. And I'm sorry, I haven't actually read this
No,
slide.
it's okay. I know, probably because you've inherited the previous presidency's writing style for how we describe our chapter activities. So, do you want me to pick it up?
Yes, please.
Sure. So, welcome to STC Florida. We are the Florida chapter of the Society for Technical Communication. So we are all about theory and practice of TechCom, but not just here in Florida, beyond. In fact, right now I'm meeting one of our members coming all the way from California. So whether you're in Florida, like Florida, tolerate Florida, as long as you're willing to join us on Zoom, we're happy to see you. So we're bringing people together for networking, fellowship, and sharing information and knowledge. So welcome, everybody.
We have a job opportunity shared by Jessica Krieger, a UX writer with MentorMate. Also, if anyone is looking to fill a job or needs a new job, please let us know and we'll connect you with our employment chair, Nicole. We're also looking for 2 committee chairs, the membership and recognitions chairs. If you want more information on those, we'd be happy to share. And also the usual plug, which I have for you in the chat momentarily. If you are looking to get published, you can write for our newsletter memo to members. You can email me at newsletter@stc-orlando.org. And I've also got our usual links and an ideas page for you if you need some help. Our upcoming events and mentoring program are getting underway. So we need some more mentors. We've got some wonderful mentees. And if you're interested in mentoring a student at FTC Florida.
The STC FTC mentoring program. Some challenging acronyms. Yep.
Challenging acronyms. And there's yet another one at UCF. We are accepting applications until tomorrow. I believe we have 11 students and currently 2 mentors. So
we're up to 5 mentors, but we are still eagerly recruiting mentors. So if you are on the fence and have any questions, please do email that email address. I'll put it in here. John and I are happy to encourage you, not coerce or cajole, but just encourage you if you'd like some encouragement to be a mentor. Alternatively, if you know someone that you've worked with professionally or a former STC volunteer or an active member of another chapter, we are happy to cast a wider net. It does not have to be someone who lives in Florida. So please feel free to pass that on as well, that we are putting out our call to mentors.
Just a little coercing.
No. No, think of the good it will do for the students.
Yeah. Through a little coercing. No, just totally kidding. But yeah, as Bethany said, even if you're not from Florida, we welcome virtual mentors as well. But if you know anyone from Florida, or if you are in Florida, you're more than welcome to sign up. We are doing both virtual pairings and pairings for those locally. So yeah, any and everyone is welcome to reach out to us to mentor a student.
And with FTC on the 22nd, they'll be having Finding Your Fit in Tech Comm with UCF professor Dr. Sarah Singer. On November 13th is our next virtual networking social, where we will also be celebrating Lori Meyer, who has been with STC for almost 40 years. By that point, it will be 40 years. Congrats, Lori. And November 21st is the monthly chapter meeting, LinkedIn and networking. In December, we will be having both a virtual and in-person holiday social. Next slide. I think I might be frozen.
Hello, sorry. My internet just completely stopped for a second, so I might be leaving. If I was leaving you hanging, that's why.
Oh.
We're ready for the next slide?
Yes.
You were like, and soon the next slide will be revealed. Apologies, everyone.
And I believe, yes, I did put the links to join our LinkedIn and our Discord server in the chat already with the memo to members blurb. And we'd love to keep in touch between meetings. As mentioned before, if you have a job you need to fill or you need a new job, please let us know. And you can also contact our employment chair, Nicole, and her email is on screen. And also in the chat. Thank you, Bethany.
Of course.
And now for our presentations on tech comm tools.
John, are you introducing the panelists or presenters?
Yes, I can do introductions. So we have a round of 3 different topics tonight. Thank you each, Scott, Bethany, Joy, Julia, for being on today's panel. And we're excited to be talking about 3 different topics, including 1, authoring tools, 2, image and video capturing tools, and 3, graphic design. So Scott will be walking us through MadCap Flare, and then Bethany will be walking us through Camtasia as well as Snagit, and Julia and Joy will be talking us through the graphic design tool Canva. And each has prepared a short mini presentation on their topic, including here the following, and they can also talk a bit about themselves and especially about their tools and any kind of intricacies that they have, any ways that they tie into tech comm as a whole, and tips and tricks that you might not know for each tool or if you go and try them. And so with that brief introduction, I will pass things over to each of our presenters and we can go in order. So yeah, thank you each again for this presentation. Very excited. And we can start off with authoring tools, MadCap Flare, and its new AI features with Scott.
All right, great. I will share my screen.
Wonderful. You should have permission. It's just
okay. Yeah, it just popped up. All right, so I have MadCap Flare open. Just get the little box of everybody out of the way so I can see it too. All right, so I want to talk a little bit about what's new in Flare, and then I can talk specifically about AI in Flare because AI is pretty big right now, and it's just going to get bigger. One of the general things that's happening with MadCap that you may or may not have heard, but it impacts what's going on here. MadCap was basically bought by a company. It's been about 4 years now. And then maybe 2 years ago, they bought a company called Ixia, and Ixia handles people that use DITA. So one of the cool things MadCap in general is now Flare focuses on, as it always has, it's XHTML based. And we now have Ixia, which focuses on the people that want to use DITA to either as just an authoring tool or, of course, just have a DITA-based process. So MadCap can meet both of those needs. In addition to that, which ties into what happened in Flair 2024, one of the main features is MadCap bought another company called Xyleme, and their main product is called Syndicate. It's an interesting tool. It lets you publish content to that, and then it acts, I would describe it as like a hub. I mean, they use cooler terms, but it's basically a hub that lets you put your content in one spot and then pull it from lots of different, pretty much any application. So it's sort of like it, including an LMS, so kind of like a CCMS, but even more integrated with your entire organization. So in Flair 2024 now, and because MadCap now owns Xyleme, you can publish to their Syndicate. I always want to say Syndicate, but they pronounce it Syndicate tool. Other things that they added in Flair 2024, that was probably took their most amount of time. They added support for FrameMaker 2022, and something that happens a lot in Flair when you create an output. I have my browser open, so I can show you some things. I didn't open this one, but I can show it to you. One small thing they added, here's an example of a Flair output if you haven't really looked at it. Because of how this is set up, when you click a link, if you really watch this right-hand side, it sort of disappears and then appears again. It flickers. It's a little hard to see it when we're sharing screen, but it does flicker. So in 2024, they added a feature to minimize that. It's impossible to get completely rid of it. Kind of a small thing, but that's one of the things, I'd say half the groups I work with, that drove them insane. So adding that was actually a pretty big deal to a lot of Flair users. So that's what happened in Flair 2024. Flair 2024 R2, they've kind of switched the agile model. I guess it's been about 8 years now. So this just came out about a month ago. So the latest features is very exciting. Now in Flair, you can create a PowerPoint presentation. A lot of people use Flair to create training materials. Traditionally, like a training guide. But usually when people make a training guide, they're also creating slides for stand-up presentations, or even now virtual presentations that go with the guide that you use as a reference after you take a class. Now you can create all that in Flair. So they added features to Flair that lets you create a quiz, which was very popular. That was probably five, 6 years ago. And then now, just now, a month ago, you can actually make the slides. So in case you haven't used Flair that much, or you're kind of curious how this works, in Flair, the things that you make are called targets. You can make as many things as you want. So like my example, if you said, hey, I've got to make PowerPoint slides and I have to make this PDF because I'm making a class. Or if you're thinking, I'm not really a trainer, I make documentation. Hey, I need to make a online help system, and I need to make the user guide, and I need to make the tech spec guide, and I need to make the quick reference. You would just have a whole bunch of targets. So you would need to make a target, which you can see it says target. The type would be, in this case, PowerPoint. You can name it whatever you want. Maybe you're making a PowerPoint for the instructor presentation and another one for students. You could have two of them, of course. If you've used Flair before, you've probably seen this many, many times. All the options are basically the same. The only one that's really special to PowerPoint is this meta information. So not much setup at all. Here in Flair, I've set things up to show up as black just because I feel like they're a little bit easier to see with screen sharing. I intentionally set it up also to kind of demonstrate this. In the output, in the PDF, in the PowerPoint, I told them to be the opposite. White background, black text. But that's not specific to PowerPoint, of course. You can do that with any output. But in Flair, when you have these targets, you build them, that's the term. And it's doing that now. And if I open it up, here it is. I don't know why it makes the slides so big. Most people have them about this big, but there they are here, my slides that we're going through now. So that's really cool. I think a lot of people are already using that. I've been using it to make training materials and presentations. So that's a big new feature in Flare. The biggest new feature that they added from a, hey, I already use Flare, you know, you're not going to sell me on it, but things that are exciting to current users, the sales pitch is going to be up here, but people that currently use it will be also excited about this. So if you do use Flare, of course, you can use SVG files in Flare, but SVG files, not that they're large, but they're very complex typically, like EPS files are typically kind of complex files. So when you use them in Flare and you open, imagine there's one in this topic, and you open the topic, if it has some complex ones or a bunch of them, it can be a little slow to open. In this project, there's not a lot of content. As I move around, it's opening very quickly. But Flare users, especially if you use SVG files, you probably notice, hey, I double click a topic and I'm just sitting there for like 15 seconds, 20 seconds waiting. And that adds up. I'm sick of that. Now in Flare 2024, if you're using SVG files, it's much, much faster. So if it took 20 seconds before, it's probably 2 seconds now. And when you build, the main group that I work with, they use a ton of SVGs when they build their target, just like I built that PowerPoint target. Took them about 20 minutes. Now it takes 2 minutes. So that's a big, big deal. And even people that use Flare, you might not have really noticed that, but that would be a great reason to upgrade right there alone if you have SVGs. The other one is specific to people publishing. You know, if you happen to use secure FTP or published AWS, a lot of people do, it works a lot better and it's a lot faster. So that's kind of a quick catch up of what's been going on with Flare, but I did want to touch a little bit on the generative AI and how that ties in with what MadCap is up to. They have integrated generative AI into Flare, but I should say they've integrated it into their products. They intentionally integrated it with the cloud-based part, which is called Central. So one of the features of Central is it acts like a Git repository. This is what it would look like. Here's a sample topic. And now in Flare, because there's a big push to let people edit topics in Central rather than having to use Flare, which might be like your manager or eventually even reviewers. So for those people, they now have this AI assist button. It's kind of hiding in here. A lot of people don't realize this is in here. And when you click it, it just ties into your account with ChatGPT and you can interact with it without having to open it yourself. That's pretty cool. Now, if you're wondering why did they build that into Central, why didn't they build that into Flare? I think that's tied to their long-range positioning of Flare and Central themselves, which is pretty interesting. I don't work for MadCap, of course. I can only speculate based on what they've hinted at. But I think partly because obviously ChatGPT and Central are cloud-based. So it's much easier to integrate into a cloud-based tool than to a Windows-based tool. But I use generative AI with Flare literally every day. If you're interested in it, there is a Kaizen tool that you may or may not know about. Kaizen has 3 plugins. I have them. That's what these extra menu items are. If you're wondering, hey, what's that stuff? The guy that creates Kaizen, his name is Matthias Sander. He's been working on a toolbar that integrates Flare with ChatGPT. He calls it MadBot. So he's working on that, and that will eventually happen, and maybe MadCap will do that as well. So if you're really into it, you could do that. But personally, I just have, as you saw possibly in my browser, what I do with Flare all the time throughout the entire day is I just have ChatGPT open. In fact, I was doing this right before we met, having it process some files. I kind of like it external, and I think that's part of the reason that they're dragging their heels, because there's so much you can do out here, or even switch models or something. it's too clunky right now to try to integrate this with apps unless it has a very, very specific focus, like the integration in Zoom that you probably are familiar with. You know, something that's doing live captions, sure, but that's just one little feature of generative AI. Whereas out here, I can do anything. So that's what's going on. Many, many people are using generative AI with Flare. Maybe not the AI assist, but doing it the way I'm doing it. And I think very soon, certainly by the end of this year, you will start hearing about a lot of things created with Flare tied into generative AI that I can't even talk about yet, including things MadCap is doing. So that's very exciting if you're into generative AI. And if you're not, I would give it some consideration because it's going to be huge. So that's my overview of what's going on with MadCap and with Flare.
Thanks, Scott. I think you taught me some things I didn't know, and I use Flare every day. Every time I always have some tidbits to take away. I didn't know about the MadBot, though. My team would be very interested in that. Thank you for sharing.
Sure, no problem.
I think without further ado, I'm going to give us the Snagit Camtasia presentation. This is not a pitch. I am not sponsored by them. They do not give me money if you pay for Snagit or Camtasia. I just am a bit of a fan of their products. So I have done a presentation before on Snagit, so we'll give a quick view of that. And then I want to get into Camtasia and their new functionality, Rev, that helps speed up creating videos. So for those who aren't aware, Snagit and Camtasia are both products by TechSmith. Snagit is your screen capture tool. It does what it's supposed to do. You take screen captures, you can record your camera, share GIFs, share videos. It's your one-stop shop for sharing images or videos of things that are on your screen or recorded through your webcam. Camtasia is also screen recording, but includes video editing software. So if you're creating tutorials, training videos, presentations, and that sort of thing, it lets you take stuff from Snagit and take it to the next level or work directly in Camtasia. You don't have to have both, but they do work nicely together. So why do I love these? They are easy to learn. I can teach you some of the cool tips and tricks in Snagit I like, but you can figure it out in yourself with their in-app training in minutes. It's pretty straightforward. Their UI is quite simple. I know we were talking before this is about UIs getting more complicated in some applications. I'll show you what it looks like in Snagit and Snagit Editor, but it isn't too overwhelming. Same for Camtasia. It's got a bit more going on, but again, they do a good job segmenting it out. They're useful. I use Snagit pretty much every single day, maybe not on weekends. I don't always use Snagit, and I use Camtasia whenever I'm doing any sort of video recording, even if it's not for a training or if it's just to send someone a quick screen recording of what's happening. It meets all of my needs as someone who does videos related to and around documentation. For modes, I put reliable. I know someone will find issues they've had with Snagit, Jessica Nealon, but everything's always worked for me. It does what it's supposed to do. We'll see if that holds true during this demo, but I put it does what it says on the tin. Both of those tools just perform the way I expect them to. And while they're not necessarily so cheap that they're free compared to some other more expensive applications, I say as someone who loves using MadCap Flare, both Snagit and Camtasia are affordable by a regular user. It's I won't go into the pricing too much. They are having a change right now. You can buy a license that you keep. So if you buy Snagit or TechSmith 2024, you just own the license. They are switching to a subscription model in the future. So this is not an act now while supplies last kind of thing. But if you're interested in these products, I would encourage you to buy a license before they switch to yearly subscription, because you will just own your software outright if you purchase before then. But they're both quite cost effective, Snagit especially. It used to be $15. Now I think it's up to maybe 40, 50, 60. Sometimes they do sales. But if you own your license forever, it's a good investment. So I have instructions on slides. I wrote them in case I didn't get time to go over everything, and I don't want to take too much time because we got great presentation ahead with Julia and Joy. But I'm just going to pop over on the screen and show you guys in the apps what these look like. So don't worry about reading all of these. I also want to have them here so we can share them out. First one, pretty straightforward. Come on. All right. This is Snagit. This is the widget. This is the little guy that you can pull up on your screen to take your screen captures. I always leave copy to clipboard toggled because I'd say 9 times out of 10 when I'm taking a screenshot, I am about to do something with it. So instead of taking a screenshot, going to an app and copying it, it just automatically goes on my clipboard. So then I can go screenshot, into a Slack message or a screenshot into MadCap Flare. I like the reduced clicks. It just does what it's supposed to. We're capturing a scrolling screen. Now, I know we all want things to be simpler, but occasionally we get screens that are long. In fact, I have one right here, the stc.org website. So if I were needing a screen capture of this, in the past, I would have had to go and take different screen captures and combine them or stitch them together. But they have a feature here called automatic scrolling. So fingers crossed this worked earlier. We'll make sure it works while I'm screen sharing. If I go to capture, I click the little arrow, say capture vertical scrolling area. And it scrolls for me. And then it says, okay, I'm making your image. And then it opens it here in Snagit editor. So while I say Snagit is one thing, it's kind of two related applications, or the widget here and then the editor. So voila, we have our beautiful screen all in one screenshot. This brings me a lot of joy as someone who used to have to go and actually stitch together screenshots.
Bethany, just to check with you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it was in focus view. Oh, we couldn't see the tool, I don't think, or at least I couldn't.
Oh, no. Is it not showing?
We can see it. That's what I did earlier. So it did a focus view thing. So it was only showing the speaker instead of showing the speaker in the screen. But we could see the screen, but it varies. Your mileage varies depending on the view setting you have.
Oh, Zoom playing tricks on us. So
Check
Julia,
that.
can you see my screen?
I can see your screen. I just couldn't see Snagit.
Ah, okay. Well, trust it worked beautifully. At least everyone else can attest to it, hopefully.
I was just going to echo what Julie said. I could see your screen, but not Snagit.
Not Snagit. Okay, maybe Snagit's hiding. All right, let's see if this one works. Can you guys see Snagit editor right now?
Nope.
Wow.
It's shy.
Let me try
Been
again on the screen
corrected.
sharing. I think I'm going whole screen. Let me make sure I wasn't just sharing a window.
And
All
what's
right.
ironic, I think it's me. The scrolling capture, I never get it to work. It never works for me.
It
So
works every time for me.
I love
I
the
know.
scrolling capture. That's like my favorite
Yeah.
thing.
I
It is
know. I
exactly
was just
what
thinking,
Bethany said.
All right.
we
Are you
can
guys
see it now.
You
Yeah, we
see
can see
Snagit
it now.
editor. Okay, well,
Yep.
thanks.
Yeah.
Zoom is playing tricks on me. All right, well, I can do it again later if we have time, but I'll keep us moving forward. So, once you have something in the Snagit editor, if you have text, rather than having to grab text by typing it manually, you also could go in and right click on any image and choose grab text. And depending on how big your screen is, it'll take a few minutes, but it will actually pull the text from the screen. This might not be the perfect web page for it, but I find this really useful when someone says this thing needs to go in a document and they send me a screen capture of the text instead of the text that I need. Rather than feeling a sense of rage growing within me, I just grab the text from their screenshot. And there you go. There's just about everything from the web page. It's not so great about formatting, but it's really just about getting the text in. Anyone else ever use that feature, or is that just me?
I have used it.
Yeah.
Very handy.
Yeah. All right. There's also removing a background from an image. So this also happens when I'm given something like a logo or something needs to be inserted and there's a white background on it that I do not desire. I go to fill, and then rather than filling with a color, you can choose to fill with transparency, which is just very funny to me, the concept of I'm going to fill this space with nothing. But that's all it takes. Click here, and all of that white background is removed. Now, it only works if it's a solid color that's continuous, but it will work on any color you have. So if you want to be able to isolate any elements on your screen and clear anything out, it's that simple.
Bethany, is this 2024?
This is 2024, but I believe all the features I'm showing are in, if not 2021, then 2022 on.
I see. I think I have an earlier version because I've never seen these. So this is
you have
awesome.
2019. 2019 was, I think, on the 2018, 2019, I think was the tipping point where they started putting a lot more features in. So I recommend upgrading.
Yeah, this is awesome.
All right. So remove derived background from an image. Another option, if you have a lot of text, but you want to be able to help someone focus on what you're seeing, they have this new Simplify UI. So I'll show you what it does, and then we'll talk about why you might want to use it. It's just a toggle, and it pulls colors from the image, and essentially what it's supposed to do is blank out any of the text. You can see it didn't do perfectly here, but it does give you a way to say, hide all of the elements that aren't relevant to my user. And it also is supposed to help you keep your screenshots more up to date. If your UI is simplified, then there's less need to update screenshots when text changes on a screen if that text is not relevant to what the user is seeing. So I'm still kind of feeling this one out, but I think it's pretty cool, and I do love a good toggle. So you can take it off again if you decide you didn't want to use it. All right, this one is going to be either awesome or not useful at all, depending on who you are. But essentially, you can batch convert or change or rename a bunch of images in Snagit. So I don't think I have a lot in here. I'm sorry, this is not the PC I normally use Snagit on, but we could not use my work PC. We're going to go through, go to File, Export. So here right now, it automatically selects the image I'm on. But if I want to make changes to multiple images, here we go. We got some STC. The other thing I really like is the automatic file naming, because if you're just taking screenshots, typically you're getting a string of numbers for your file name, but you might want to name them after what part of the application they're in, if they're all for a user interface, or if they're relevant to a certain moment in time. You can go and add automatic file name, and then it lets you basically apply tags, and that will decide how your images are going to be named. So you can maintain the original file name, but you could also put in things like your username, if it's related to you, the month, the day, the weekday, the year, or any other text that you want. Like I could add that these are all STC, and it gives you a sample of what that image title looks like. So if you're a stickler for the naming conventions for your images, and you get images that aren't following your naming conventions, it makes it really easy to update. And then I just click OK. It's going to tell me what's going to happen. And then it converts the images on the other screen. Sorry, I converted them over here, but rest assured they did convert. Okay, this one is to save video clips as GIFs. So if I open a video clip, which I have one here, it's a recording of a little sample video I made called How to Be a Mentor. Snagit has sort of some light video editing functionality. The more of it we're going to see is going to be in Camtasia next, but you can pull up anything and use this to grab a section of the video if you want to make a GIF. This can be useful if you want to embed something as a short movable image in your documentation, clicking a few steps where that's helpful, or if you want to do something fun, you could do that as well. But once you have that, then you just come here and you choose Save Video or Selection as Animated GIF. Or GIF, I'm sorry, you can fight with me later. I say GIF. I don't feel strongly about it, though, on the pronunciation. So just click that, you choose Use Selection, and it'll decide if you want to have it optimized for file size, for screen video. Click Create, and it'll take a little bit and run and create one in the background that you could embed if you don't want a full video file in your documentation. All right. Well, that runs. Any questions so far? Okay. My fellow Snagit lovers, are these features all familiar to you? Are they your bread and butter? Feel free to answer in the chat if you like. All right, there we go. It did go and make the GIF for me. Yes, indeed. Excellent. Thank you, fellow Snagit lovers. All right. So I was going to go a little bit into Camtasia. But first I want to go over like what the workflow is. It's basically open Camtasia, select what you want to record, set up video and microphone if you're recording yourself in the video, and then you record. And if you want that, that's all. You can keep it that simple. Just use it to record videos of your screen share and yourself on camera. That's really good if you're doing a training video or for like product teams. Sometimes we're walking through, here's the functionality of a product or how to solve a problem, troubleshooting. Really, really, really straightforward. Oh, Rhonda says, make movies to share internal processes or how-tos. It's the I can show you better than I can tell you approach. It's your don't bother me. Here, take this video. Go learn how to fish for yourself, huh? So they're capturing that information. I do a lot of quick screenshots and videos as well. But to get a little further into it, I do have the steps here for screen recording. I've learned I cannot screen record perfectly for you guys and also do video and audio because Zoom will fight for dominance. But instead, I did want to show you that it's really just setting up a capture window. So here is Camtasia. So you can create new projects or you can do some importing. But the process is really similar to Snagit. It's just you capture part of your screen, you set up to record and go. What I did want to show you guys is the Camtasia Rev functionality. So I've got a video I'm going to import here. It'll be that how to be a mentor again. Take a minute for it to pull in. On my other screen. All right. So this is to speed up making your videos look a little slicker than just a screen recording. If you want to keep it simple, you can screen record and just have yourself on your video. But if you want to add a little more polish really quickly, they let you go in and tweak the recording size. So if you're producing your video for like a phone or another application, you can change the shape. I'm just going to keep the standard size. You also can change the layout. So if you want to make it look windowed in various different sizes, you can tweak everything. But we'll keep it pretty straightforward and just do a windowed view. And they also have some cool backgrounds. I'll be honest, I'm excited that gradients are back. I'm a child of the 90s. I love a good gradient and a bright color. But it lets you put some color behind, give it a little extra polish. Nice variety here. They've also got some geometric shapes. And you can add some effects. So if you want to put a border around your edges or not. I guess you could reflect your video. I'm sorry, I'm anti-reflecting when it comes to videos and images. But from there, then you choose Edit in Camtasia. So it applies all of that, all of those changes, and then pops it into Camtasia where you can do a lot more. So from there, if you don't already have audio recorded, you could record with your microphone. There's a record option here. You could go in and add effects. You can add stock footage if you're going for that slick brand image sort of look. They have built-in visual effects, whether that's wanting to tint things or colorize them. If you're actually doing a recording on your screen, I do also like that they have cursor effects. So it'll make it easier to follow your cursor as you're going through on clicks, whether that's to magnify it, spotlight when you're clicking, or follow a path as you're going around the screen. But overall, for me, it just helps me make a video that looks a little slicker when I'm trying to put something together that will stand the test of time or impress people. They also have effects that you can add for text. So if you want to add like annotations, we talked about this earlier and we were talking about images, but adding things that will draw people's eye to a certain part of the screen. Just go and add those in. And once you have your video set how you want it, it's really a matter then of just exporting it to whatever type you want. So you can export the whole project. So if you're going to work on it further on a different device, that lets you do lots of saving. But overall, I mostly just export as MP4 and then upload it somewhere that I'm going to use it, whether that's to YouTube or to an internal file share. But generally, I like to keep my media clips organized here so you can have your videos. Right now, these are the ones I've added to this project. And you can add multiple videos. So if you even had different recording sessions for walking through a process, you could easily stitch them all together and have one smooth video. If you're feeling fancy, you can also change your audio a bit. The noise removal is kind of nice if you're not working on a great mic. It's kind of screen out any background static. Fade out would be more if you probably want to add music, but overall, I think even if you're not a video producer, which I am certainly not, most of the things in here are self-explanatory enough that I can go through them and apply them in a way that's going to help the video move a little faster, keep people's attention, keep them engaged so that, you know, I have not wasted my time creating it and they have not wasted their time watching it. And I think as we're looking ahead with TechComm, being flexible about the medium in which we produce our information is really critical. So not that words aren't enough, but sometimes a supplementary video goes a long way. But overall, that's what I wanted to highlight for Camtasia. Just again, for those rev features, it's the size of the video, the layout, the background, the effects, and the filters they're really the claim to fame. Save that. Oh, I'm overwriting my untitled project. I'm sorry, that's not good file naming conventions. And I don't think it has a quick way for me to update that. So we'll just move ahead from that point. But overall, I recommend trying those out. Again, if you're starting and you're not totally sold, I would say start with Snagit. It's the one I use day to day. It solves most of my problems. But if you're doing something a little extra, Camtasia is pretty handy. So I think without further ado, I'm handing it to Joy and Julia for Canva. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. I know I went fast and said a lot of things. It's all in the slides. We'll share those out if you want to capture them.
And I'm starting screen share. Okay, should be able to see my screen here.
Still loading for me, but I could be lagging behind. I see it now.
Okay. And pulling my notes up on the side. Okay, so Canva is a graphic design platform and some different use cases. As you can see on screen, you've got documents, whiteboards, presentations, and so on down the list. You can use it for educational projects, for students or lifelong learners in continuing education, technical writing projects, from infographics, training, even video editing. You can make social media graphics with, like, go over to that tab. You've got a whole bunch of different platforms: Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, TikTok. They've got a lot of different stuff, including YouTube thumbnails. They do have one somewhere in the list for making GIFs. Joy used that to create one of the graphics for Memo to Members once, maybe twice. And you can make presentations. I've got some really cute designs here as well for examples. You can do marketing graphics or promotional merchandise, LinkedIn banners, business cards, logos for personal branding or professional use. They've got postcards, invitations, various types of stationaries. It's a great collaboration tool, and there's so much more. It can be used across various industries, from tech writing, marketing, communications, and industrial design as well.
And what's so great about Canva is that there are a plethora of features, not only with the Canva Pro version, which is a premium version that is $15 per month or $120 per year, but also with the free version as well. The basic version comes with a lot of templates, courses, certifications, and elements that could really help you to make your deliverables your own. And even if you don't have graphic design experience, there are many tools to help you get started. I know in the past, I have used Canva as a way to create many collaborative projects, such as presentations for school, for FTC, as well as in my current role, creating instructional design material for engineers. And so, like Julia said, there's just so much that you can do with it. And even with the Canva Pro version, although it is not necessary, there are extra features, such as the brand kit tool, where you can save and create and save your own fonts, templates, as well as logos to help you with consistency in your products. a background remover so that customization is made easier. You won't have to use external tools and software like Paint, and also resizing projects into different formats. And also there is a new generative AI assistant tool that can be located on the towards the end of the sidebar. I believe it's under apps.
And I apologize, my computer is chugging along here, so it might take a bit to load, but I'm getting it. There it is.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got some images that we created with AI on our 5th slide. First 2 slides here are just some samples to give us some inspiration for what we made on slide 3, which we'll show you in a bit.
Yes, and if you have any prompts, please feel free to think of as many as you would like. And towards the end of our presentation, we'll be entering them and see what all of the magic that we can create together in this time.
So slides 1 and 2 were inspiration slides using templates. We just went into, I believe it's elements, and then just searched for like Halloween. It'll give you different graphics and photos, just different samples that you could use. These were 2 we chose, and we took some elements from each to create a post for Instagram that will go up later in the month. I'll make sure to get this over to Instagram. Joy, did you have something?
Yeah. And what's so great about this interface is that it's pretty much a drag and drop situation. You can go hover your cursor onto any part of the sidebar, and for example, under elements, click on any photo that you would like to choose and just drag it onto the screen. And a best practice that I like using sometimes is when I'm looking at certain elements such as graphics, I hover my cursor over it on the sidebar, and I click on the top right-hand corner of the element and on the button that has the 3 dots. And what you can do is scrolling down, you can click see more like this. And afterwards, the platform will provide you with other alternatives. And if you scroll down, you can see that there are plenty offered, not only with the free version, but with the pro version as well. And you can differentiate the different elements from the 2 accounts by noting a sort of crown element on the bottom right-hand corner.
Which is not on this trick or treat one next to it, but you can see the difference.
Yes. And also for other best practices, Julia actually taught me this, and it's been a lifesaver ever since. If you go on the top left-hand corner and click on File, and then after File, click on Settings. Yes, you can actually show rulers and guides and add specific guides. So that will definitely help with consistency and formatting in any of your deliverables.
I think we have plenty of time for making AI stuff if anyone wants to. And while we're waiting for stuff to pop into chat, let me go into the background. You've got your solid color backgrounds, which are pretty easy, but if you scroll down, you can find gradients, which is a lot of fun. What I did for our post is I took this one and just changed it a little bit, added our STC blue and some transparency on the purple. We do have a prompt.
Ooh, I'm really liking the prompt Bethany shared.
Now let's see if I can find the AI tool. Joy taught me about that one earlier. Okay.
I think if you go down and all the way down, there's on the sidebar, there's a circular button that looks like it has sparkles on it. I think that's where you can find it.
I'm not sure.
Or it's actually called Magic Media.
It's that one on the bottom left.
I see it.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So how did you do this, Joy? I don't remember.
Oh, no worries. I can quickly share my screen. I think it's an app that you need to download.
Oh, I probably don't have it then.
No worries at all. Can everyone see my screen? Okay, cool.
Yep.
So after downloading Magic Media from your apps, simply click on it and you can create any sort of image, graphics, or videos with your prompts. And there's so many fun styles. Julie and I were playing with anime last time. However, sadly, it did not turn out as anime-like as we wanted, but it's okay. It was really fun. And also, there's different aspect ratios too. And I have the free version. And so with that, you are able to create as many Magic Media or 40 or 50. You can create up to 50 Magic Media at one time. So if anyone would like to share their prompts, I'd be happy to put it in.
There's one in chat already. User interface evoking the early days of the internet.
Okay. Oh, would we like to style it in a specific way or aspect ratio?
Let's see what it gives us first.
Okay, sounds good.
Do you have any advice, Joy, for writing the prompts now that you've tinkered with it a little bit? Do you give it more text or less? What's produced the best results for you?
I feel like the more text, the better, just to give the AI as many possibilities at once. Oh, this looks really cool. I can copy and paste it onto slide 6. So, oh wow, I like the 4th one as well. Yeah, so as you can see, the feature is pretty fun to use and can be very helpful when, especially during marketing, creating your material and the visualizations. And it also, it gives us as technical writers a way to help automate our workflows and saving us time.
Do you often go back and like refine or anything, or do you tend to like go in a different direction after you've created something?
I usually tend to go into different directions.
Use it as a jumping off point.
Yes, exactly. But it's a tool that I really enjoy using, and I didn't know was available until recently. And so Canva is a platform that continues to update its interface as well as its features. So I would definitely recommend it to anyone who is looking to try new tools for their technical documentation process.
And one of the projects I made was a logo. I can get this in frame.
Yeah.
Doesn't really want to show up. Trust me, it's there. And in order to make it so I could put it on, for example, my personal website and have whatever color background show through, I got the pro version so that I could download it with a transparent background. That's a pro only thing, which you can try it free for, I believe, a week. A full 7 days, which is plenty of time. And it does say try pro for 30 days, so it might be a 30-day trial. Regardless of whether it's a week or 30 days, it's still a good deal if you're looking to just get downloads of some stuff you've already created. And with Pro, you're also able to print media. So I made some business cards.
It looks really great, Julia, and it's really great to see how many different products that we can create using this platform.
Yeah. And you can also click on different elements once you drop them in to change their color or the font.
Yes. Would you like me to unshare my screen so you can continue with the tutorial?
I think we're on to
sure.
Q&A. Is that right, Julia?
Yeah.
Or do you have more tutorial?
We could do that. I'll just use the example real fast to show what I mean by that, because
sure,
it is probably something you could figure out, but it might be better to just show it real quick.
Yes.
You know, Joyce, seeing as you're already sharing, do you mind just clicking on a couple things and showing where those elements are?
Don't mind at all. So this is one element that we created to incorporate the FTC STC logo. We used a frame that you can find on the left-hand corner under elements, and using the search bar, you can be very customizable with your options. And so using the circular one, we inserted it onto the page, and adding photos or other multimedia is pretty easy. All you do is go to uploads and simply drag the content that you would like within the frame, like so. And also beneath that, we added a glow element to emulate the moon, which was really great. And as you can see here, Julia also inserted these really cute jack-o'-lanterns on the bottom for the bordering. And the reason why you can see that there are some lines going through these two elements or these watermarks is that it is a part of Canva Pro. And so if we were to use a Canva Pro account similar to or what Julia has, the watermarks would be removed. And like other authoring tools, you can use different types of font combinations, which is what we did for the text saying STC and FTC wish you a happy Halloween, and layering others such as the jack-o'-lantern face as well. And these are only just a fraction of the elements that you can use to really hone in on your project and make it your own.
And for the little ghosties with books, they
Yes.
originally had pink book covers and a pink bow. But using the little circles, I changed it to FTC yellow.
Yes. And what's so great about the color feature within Canva is that they actually detect photo colors within the document, which makes finding the hex code very easy to use. But they also offer a color wheel too for that extra level of customization.
And you
And
can also use hex color codes in.
Yes. The possibilities are limitless. And there's also a new drop tool, which is a feature that I believe they just added recently. It's very new to me, so I'm glad that they have it.
And it seems like from the homepage, they'll be adding more stuff in October.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it. And, as we said, this is this was our overview of Canva. There are many other use cases for this. However, we're happy to give you a walkthrough of how we use it in our projects.
And it is 8:02, which is a couple minutes past when we said we would do Q&A. So if anyone has questions for Canva, why don't we take another, let's say, 2 or 3 minutes for questions? And then we'll turn it over to general questions.
I guess a question, if you haven't used Canva, any recommendations for getting started? Do you think you just start with an idea and then follow through, or do you like to kind of like be open-minded when you start working on a design? Like how set in your head should things be when you start working on it?
Do you mind if I go first, Joy?
Don't mind at all.
I typically have a particular project in mind, even if I don't know what I want it to look like, and I just go from there. Sometimes, like with my logo, I knew what I wanted that to look like. I had a few ideas and just had to play around with it. And Lori needs to sign off. Thank you for joining us, Lori. We'll see you later. That's generally how I approach starting a Canva project, is just if I have an idea, I'll start using it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Julia. My process is very similar to yours. I like to identify a use case first, but then actually going into the design, I prefer to look at a couple of templates and go from there. I like to play around with the different color schemes and make sure that they're matching with the branding that I'm using, as well as exploring the different elements such as photos to really enhance it. And for new users of Canva, I would recommend doing what Julie and I have did today. Starting off with something like a social media post where you can really play around with the different features and also create extra levels of customization. I know that we didn't show it in this presentation. However, within the apps section, there are ways for you to create your own QR codes as well as integrate your own mockups, and that's very helpful, especially when creating visualizations that can pair well with product documentation as well as processes as well.
Thank you.
There are no other Canva specific questions, at least for the moment, then perhaps we should open it to general Q&A.
Sorry, I had to sneeze.
Oh, I had a question for Scott, but I didn't.
I'm,
It's about Flare.
I'm here if you need me.
Yeah. Because it's been on my mind and it's what I'm looking at. I should probably. I'm looking. Oh my gosh, I blanked out. I know what I'm trying to say. Okay, in Flare, I know that it can integrate with Microsoft Copilot for like chatbot generation, so you can, start to generate a chatbot information out of your content. But I know it's about like putting a certain kind of code on the master page, etc. But that's about as far as I've gotten. So I would just love your take on it because of how well you know. This isn't something that you would need Central for, I don't think, but it's just something you would integrate into your Flare project. Am I on the right path?
Turn the video on. It's friendlier. Yeah, a lot of people are integrating it with Copilot and some other models. I would also look into specifically the micro content part because a lot of people want to write short, usually question and answers to kind of train the model. And that way with the micro content, you're writing those little pieces. So I would consider that if you're not using micro content, just to train the model.
I see.
But when I've been working on it, we just typically say, hey, here's the content. We point the model to it. And like even ChatGPT, that's what I mentioned, I was using it. I just pointed it at something and said, hey, here's the content. Here's what I want you to do to it. And it was out on the web and it scraped it all and did it. So I didn't have to do anything in Flare special to train the model. I told it where the content was.
So the connective tissue is like you have the Copilot code on your master page, and then Copilot builds the chatbot from like calling your pages. Is that how that
You
works?
may not even have to do that. You may be able to just because I've worked with another team and they just zipped it up and said, hey, here's the zip file. Process it.
Interesting. Okay. I actually talked to Flare itself, and they said, well, a lot of people are using Copilot, and I went, okay. And then they have the code on the master page, and I was like, okay. And then from there I couldn't quite like in my mind go, okay, well, there's more to it than that, but what's the next step? So it's a perfect opportunity to answer. It does.
So some of them have to have that. So some of them you have to put in something to say, hey, look at this. but other models and other tools, you don't even have to do anything. So I think that even that will go away. Eventually you'll just say, hey, here's my content.
Yeah, and I'll ask you this too, because I know that Central's integrating with ChatGPT. Someone I spoke to internally said a lot of people, I think, do it that way so that you're not basically revealing any secrets. Like they're using it internally just to keep it within the company, like an intranet chatbot type thing. Okay.
That was my question about this integration, is if this is a private for Flare is doing, or this is public ChatGPT, because I know there's issues with that. So that's what I was going to ask you, Scott.
Yeah, and it's the same with Canva and all these tools that have the AI. Specifically thinking about a whole bunch of content. Most companies now have their own internal models. So they have it internally and they're saying, hey, here's our content. It's wherever on this drive inside our company. So nobody can see it, and their model can't, in some cases, can't even access the web. Once it's been trained, it can't get out there. So all the data is coming from their data inside the company only.
Okay.
And it can't push it out and share it either. And if you made something in Canva or something, it's like, oh, I made this, AI helped make it or something. That doesn't mean you have to use your content to train their model. You can turn that off.
Right.
And a lot of companies, now have their AI policies that they keep updating them, and they keep getting more vague and more specific at the same time, which makes it very interesting to implement these solutions. So
it's all about risk, right? And it's really hard to assess that risk right now for a lot of corporations because so much is unknown. They can be very risk averse, and then they go, we're falling behind.
So random but semi-related, just in case nobody knows, LinkedIn enabled. You have to go in by default, they've enabled them using your content to train their models. So if you don't want LinkedIn to use your content to train their models, you need to go in and opt out.
And it's the same with Twitter, by the way. You're training Grok. You have to go find some option that uncheck the thing that feeds Grok. It says the same thing. Every time I say that, I think of Gronkowski, and it makes me think of football. But it's such a strange name for an AI tool.
It's a sci-fi reference from a book. Meaning like to know or understand something, which is just very ironic. But we won't get into that too much, will we? By the way, I've been trying to find what the prices were for perpetual licenses for Snagit and Camtasia. They are not easy to locate. They really want you to do the subscription model. So if you're looking and you are not already a subscriber, that is what I can find right now, if you are interested.
Oh, and that I was looking at it, and they were saying it was $32.99 a year. That must be for the subscription model.
Yeah.
Ah, Bethany, you're the best.
I'm trying. I want everyone to be able to enjoy these products. That's all I want, is to spread the good word.
You should grab the perpetual license while you can, Jessica, because they are moving away from it.
Yeah, if you think you want it.
Well, I can tell you a funny story about that. Oh no, I will leave that for after the recording. I have a very, very old version of Snagit on one of my VMs, which we still use because it's easier to grab it off the virtual machine, like inside the machine than from outside the machine.
Jessica, I have like a 2021, a 2022, a 2023. You want a spare Snagit license? I can throw you a key if you want one of my ones I haven't used. So, other questions? MadCap Flare, Canva, Snagit, Camtasia. 2012. Oh no, Jessica, you're really missing out on a lot of the cool stuff. No wonder you haven't seen those Snagit features before.
No, that's only the one on the VM, because we can move them from VM to VM to VM.
Julie, did I miss any questions in the chat?
Not that I've seen, but I'm gonna scroll up. Oh,
anyone else have tips in any of these tools or other tools that are like your life hacks that keep you going? A lot of those ones in Snagit I use every day, and then when I show someone who didn't know, I feel gratified that I've helped improve their life in a small but meaningful way.
Yeah, I like using Snagit for quick screencasts, because even that has the functionality of you can do highlights on the pointer and stuff.
What is a screencast versus just a screen capture?
Recording video as opposed to still image.
But we don't have set terminology in the industry, of course, Jessica, for screen capture, screen grab.
Gotcha. I thought he said screen cast, CAST, and I was like,
I did, and that's why that's how I think of recording a video in terms of as opposed to a screen capture, which I think of just capturing the static image.
I see. Got it. Okay. We're all going to start to sound old, but then we won't even know what anybody's talking about anymore if we don't.
It's the way of things. It's the way of language and technology. Yeah. Nothing remains hip for long.
I do see a question that I missed on Canva. Jessica asked, does Canva use AI to generate those images, or did we go to ChatGPT copy paste? Canva has its own AI, so nope. We did not use ChatGPT. Could have, but we didn't.
I'm curious if anyone who uses ChatGPT or a similar tool has their own GPT you've made with your own prompting or anything. I think in Gemini, they call them gems, which I think is very cute. I don't know if it'll catch on, but they're trying to make it happen. Anyone did any custom prompting?
I do. I have a couple.
Oh yeah, you got different use cases, Scott?
Oh yeah.
What are a couple examples, if you don't mind sharing? You don't have to actually physically share, but
I use quite a few of them to process files in Flare. So one of the, just to catch everybody up, Flare has a feature called a variable, has a feature called a condition, and you might have a whole bunch of them, and they might be in separate files. So a lot of times we want to make a giant list of all of them and compare them. So that's what I was saying with the zip file. I have one that I can just go out there and say, hey, here's a zip file. Here's all of them. Process it. And it spits me back a CSV file that's organized the way I want it. So as we update things, I just send it to it. It's like its own little application, and it processes it exactly the way I want it to be.
I think that's a great use of AI. It's to automate the mundane tasks that that you're above, right? And should not need to do.
Yeah, it does it better than I can do it over and over.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I had a question for Scott, by the way. The Kaizen plugins, there's more than one? Is there any more detail you can offer on that? I didn't remember. I used to use one, I think it was a freebie, but I don't remember it being as robust as what I saw in your toolbar.
Yeah, there's 3, and then the MadBot will be a 4th. Kaizen itself is the free one, and then there's a quality one, and one that focuses on like productivity. So they're all out there, but the free one has a ton of stuff. It's free. Why not? Why not get it? Even if you only use one little piece of it.
Jessica, you're muted if you're still talking to us.
No, I was just curious, is there anyone that you recommend? The Markdown one I looked at and said, well, I'm not using Markdown, so I've never used it. Is there still, you never know, they call it one thing and they hide great features in it. So is there anything in there?
Only if you use Markdown. If you don't use Markdown.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. You just never know. You know how technology goes, like, oh, you don't have the thing with the thing, and that's where the magic button is, but they called it something else, so you didn't know.
He has trials, so you can get the trial and just kind of verify, okay, this is anything I need.
Yeah, hopefully you saw the link I did put to the overall improved soft site with the Kaizen plugins, but this is the one with the Kaizen plugin specifically that is free. I use it for replacing stuff when we're cleaning up styles in Flare. Not that anyone ever has styles to clean up in Flare. They're always immaculate from the start and never get out of control.
Oh, and it's also that split, the split feature. Like if you've got like a 20-page long topic and you just go, you know what, it's time to break this up into smaller topics. That is excellent.
Yeah, especially if you're inheriting someone else's Flare project or Flare project you haven't touched in a while and it's sort of evolved organically. I'm trying to find positive ways to say things have become a mess.
You're framing that so well.
I'm working on it. It gives you an opportunity to clean it up without every single thing having to be manual.
Yeah.
Rhonda, have you used it when you were using Flare?
I haven't used Flare in a while, so I was really excited to see some of the updates and some of the ways that it's evolved. It's actually really great to see. But I am a hardcore Flare fan and just have really enjoyed it from the start. Like I remember when Flare was like being beta tested and it was a new thing that people were excited to see, because ahead of that, all of the content management or authoring systems were designed by engineers. And it looked like they were designed by engineers and not for technical communicators. So it was just so wonderful to see the beautiful interface that is frequent and common, and something that's not intimidating, but it's so feature rich. Like that's the thing that I like. You can build anything that you want, basically, but to your point, Bethany, just having a game plan or understanding what you want to accomplish or what approach you want to take is really the key to starting, so that you don't end up with a Mel of a Hess, which is what you can get when you start going in a bunch of different directions, or you have like rogue folks and you don't have like a common vision for what you want, and everyone says, I think it should be this way, as opposed to having that common view. But it is really interesting, to your point, to revisit projects later, especially when you get to do some investigation, Inspector Gadget / reverse engineering to figure out what the rationale was in developing something that way in the first place.
But sometimes, I'll be honest, I do all the detective work, and then the solution is, it was an arbitrary collection of decisions at the time. And I'm like, what a satisfying outcome to my detective work. Someone just was like, we got to choose something.
Yeah, or the answer was like malicious obedience mode, like you need it when? Like, fine.
Or I'll say, I'm honest, learning as I'm going. As I got better in Flare, I looked back on things when I started, and I was like, oh man, I didn't know what I was doing. I was still figuring things out. I'm also still not that great at writing code. So if it's anything that needs to have like JavaScript written, my code is very ugly. And I'm always happy when someone comes afterwards and cleans it up for me.
Yeah, that's very true. You really do have to extend grace to yourself about the fact that it's evolving as your own skill set is growing, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. Any other questions? Want to hear more about Snagit or Camtasia? Anyone going to make any attempts to try new software, whether a demo or a download or something after this meeting?
Well, I've actually went out to Kaizen and downloaded. I'm going to do a free trial of the quality plugin, but I wanted to ask, do you think the Snagit Camtasia bundle is worth it, or?
Well, what would be your purpose for it? If you're just doing the day-to-day, I want to send a quick video, Snagit covers it. If you want to create something a little sleeker, or a little more complex, then I think Camtasia is valuable. But honestly, day-to-day, I'd say Snagit covers 90% of my use cases.
That's what I was thinking, but you've got me with FOMO. I want to get just in case I ever wanted to learn, I want to get the last.
Some cool stuff. Yeah. I know. Sorry, I didn't mean to do it. It's a fire sale. Michael messaged me. He was the first one. He's like, "Did you see what TechSmith is saying about those subscription models?" I was like, "No. Why would you tell me this? They were the chosen one." So.
But I agree, because my last job I used both. Unless you're really doing heavy video work, yeah, you definitely get by with just Snagit.
Mm-hmm.
That's always been my opinion, but we're all slowly becoming old farts, and I didn't know if that was just my old fogey opinion.
Jessica, I've got a spare Camtasia license. I can send it to you, and you can try it out if you want.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it's 2021, so you won't have all the latest stuff, but it'll be most of the way there.
I do need to spend some time on MadCap Flare, actually.
Yeah.
So.
I need to give you an opportunity, Michael.
Yeah.
I got a seat for you at the moment.
Okay. I was going to ask if that was still available.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Well, Julia, anything else you want to cover with the time we have left? Final call for questions?
I don't have anything on my list.
Oh, I did just want to offer something, just because of I have been taking, MadCap Flare has been offering webinars. I just took one. No, it wasn't today, but about AI. And I thought it was really interesting about how one of the things in their first tutorial was something like, if you're using Flare, you're already 70% there for how to feed an AI machine because of the XML structure within it. And I thought that was fascinating. And then he spent the rest of the time explaining why that is. And I thought, well, he basically explained what I already have. That's why I use Flare. And it was a very interesting way to see that you're already ready, because everything he recommended are like having an XML structure, making sure the information is flowing in a certain way so that the machines can understand the content coming out of it. Well, that's exactly why we use Flare. That's what it does. You don't have to think about anything. It's already done. I thought that was
so your endorsement of Flare, not only is it a good tool, but it'll teach you how to think.
Well, the machines can already consume the data that's coming out of it, and you're not going to have to go through some data massage where it's all coming out of Word and you have to reconfigure it. It's just there. It'll just send the data. Like, I think, Scott, you said, some people will just zip it up and then it comes right out. So I thought that was fascinating.
Yeah, because it has that XML structure. So good.
All right, then Julia, if you want to close us out.
Thank you everybody for coming, and a big thank you to our presenters. Those were some great presentations. And we'll see you all next time, hopefully. We'd love to have you back.
Stay safe, everyone. No more hurricanes.
No, we're really done with those.
All right.
Good night, all.
Good night, everybody.
Good night,
care,
everyone.
Good night.